Okay, ready?
Yep.
Yeah, right down the bottom. Just watch the fingers at the top. Okay, and one up in here. One up. Yep. So here you want to leave these two bolts out because the next panel slides in behind here, so you've got to be 3 down. Just have these loosely at the moment and we can go to the next panel. Now this panel will be on the inside, but this panel will be on the outside because that's how the other panels are. So you wouldn't put this one on the inside and the inside, or you wouldn't put it on the outside and outside. So you've got to make sure that you're in, out. We're going to use a podgy bar. This basically just gets in there and lines up all your holes, lines them up, and then what you're going to do is place bolts. So that's up with you, so you can go through and put all your bolts through, please. Except for the top two. So now we're ready to install the middle panel. So on this side here, the other panel, that's got to go in between these two panels here. This is the reason why we leave these two bolts out. If you put these bolts out you can't put the panel in. So you've got to make sure that the next panel slides in between these two sheets here. When it slides in this side, it'll be on the outside here. So it'll always be outside, inside, outside, inside. If you build the tank the other way, where this is on the outside, that side there will be inside. But preferably, if you build it this way, you can't go wrong. That one again. I'll just put mine in first. Okay. Yep, just line those holes there a little bit. Yep, okay. Next one. I'll put my end in again first. Okay, there you go. Okay. Now the same again. I'll just put this one down for a sec. So when it comes to the last one, you've got 3 sheets. So you're going to make sure it goes in the same sheet that it did last time. That's on the outer sheet. So that one's no. That one's yes. So it's got to go in between those two. Down from the top again, because that way the other sheet's going to slide in here. Now you don't want to do this right up, otherwise it's hard to get that sheet behind. So you just want to nip it up just a little bit. between, just so you got enough room there. Then we'll go on to the next one. So this time here, what we're going to leave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We want to leave that bolt out. That's where the liner gets stabbed. So leave that bolt out. So leave the top 2 out and leave your 6th bolt out. The rest can go in. This one here is your overflow. So obviously where your customer wants the overflow, you'll put it out that way. This one here, we're going to put it out the same as that one. So we'll put it here, so start again. So same process. So the same process again. I'll put mine in first. Okay, here we go. Between those two, push. Yep. Just go your way a bit further first. Push it towards me. Yep. Okay. Alright. And the same again, it's got to go in between this one and, hang on, this one and this one, not this one. Okay, there we go. Okay. Alright. All of these bolts in now. Now in your kit you'll have these brackets here which go up the top, so we're just going to grab these first. So just leave them like that for the moment, and we'll come back and we'll sort that out. Okay, this is the tool that you want, a little Makita impact wrench, half inch. These ones here. This one here is your tech driver. This one's a little bit too small to tighten up bolts. You'll go through this one a lot more than what you will with this one here. Great little tool. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to nip up this bottom one here just a little bit. Just enough, that one, and then the top one as well. Just make sure that this hole's pretty well in line. So we're just going to just nip up those two there for the moment. Okay, now that we've just nipped up the bottom and the top one, it gives us a bit more of a true reading with our level when we put our spirit level on. So we're going to put that one on here. And what you want to, obviously what you want to be in the 2 lines. Now if it's leaning out that way, it means it's too high. So what we want to do is we want to get our shovel. We just want to dig underneath here a little bit. Then we want to put our level back on. We want to make sure that we level, okay? We're going to put our level on this one. This one looks a little bit too low, but what we can do, we can always get underneath here a little bit and basically, you know, put some more gravel up underneath. That's just going to lift it up a little bit. So we're good on that one. So obviously this is going to get a bit noisy, so we're going to put some earplugs in. We're going to get our wrench. We're going to start from the bottom here. We're going to work our way up and tighten all the bolts up. Okay, now that we've got our tank level, we need to put our moisture barrier underneath the tank. So we just cut these off through here. Now when it's rolled this way, what you want to be able to do is you want to turn it back over on itself like that. It just stops it from rolling up. And then on the edges here, what we're going to do, we're just going to curve these ones back up. Just going to help slide underneath the tank a bit easier. And you're going to grab a long shovel and you just got to get enough to get underneath here. Just enough to lift that up a little bit. And we're just going to slide this underneath here. Okay, and then we're going to go to the next one. So now we're going to do our ring beam installation. So what we need to do first is just measure the distance between this one and this one. We want to go halfway, so we want to measure about 52 inches. So I'm just going to measure from there, measure 52 inches. Put my just a little mark there so you know that we're going to put a tech screw in there. So I'm going to do the next one and complete all that all the way around. Now this one here, you want to be halfway in the join. Okay, so just back your way a little bit. Okay, that's good. Yep. Thereabouts. Okay, I'll just get you to hold that there for me, please. Yep. Then we're going to grab our tech gun and tech screw. We're going to drill these out. So now that we've got those in, you can see how they hang down a little bit. So we need to put the tech screw in through here. So just get someone on the inside just to hold that up flush with the top of there. Yep, got it. Yep. Watch your eyes. Okay, so you have one in every panel as you go around. Right, next stage is to go around and tape up these joins here, top and bottom. So just basically want to be about halfway. You want to do this when you go like that. You don't want to go here, stick it here and come backwards, otherwise that doesn't stick properly. So you want to gradually go around there. So one up top, one down the bottom. And once we've done that, you want to go down and put 3 strips about not quite the length of the panel. And put 3 here, and I'm going to put 1 down here. Same again, 3 here. Now you don't want to be too close to here, because what we're going to do, we're going to put these up. So when we're going to use this tape, when you tape it across, you don't want too close, otherwise it's going to get this is going to get in the way. Now we're going to grab our liner strip. Now this is the reason why we've left the hole out up the top. What you want to do is you just want to line that up right up the top there. Find out where your centre hole is. Get your knife. Put a little hole through there. You can put this nut on as well. We're going to place this through here like this. Then we're going to place that through the hole. Then what you want to do is you want to basically, with the rolls, you want the roll turning inwards, you don't want it turning outwards that way. So you want to have that in line with that row of bolts. Just put your foot in the bottom of it, grab one of your tapes. You want to come down 2 from the row here. So you just come down 2 flutes, 1 flute, and then basically you just want to lift it up so as the liner fills, it's not going to basically pull these down. So then the same again, you just want to be 1 flute underneath there and just tape that across, and same down the bottom. Sometimes what you need to do with this is just roll it out just so it sits a bit flat. This one here is the same again. You want a little bit of play underneath there, so again as the line is filling up, it's pressing up. So if it was tight like that, you can imagine it's going to fill up, and all of a sudden it'll pull these down. So this one you want to get right down in the bottom. Once we got the liner strips or the bolt cover strips in position, where we've left this hole out here, that's for the liner. So what we want to do is, that's in the flute that's going outwards and the flute that's coming inwards, we want to cut just on there. So you want to cut about 50 mil in from here and just a little slice in through your liner here. Okay, next stage is our roof truss. So we've got our little pack here again. We've got these 2 bolts, so they're for your roof truss. So I'm going to get these out. The roof truss is going to be in 2 pieces. So we want this one angling down, so we're going to lay that one this way. Grab the other end. I'm going to lay that one in there. Now when you go to join this up on the ground, just make sure that, you know, no stones or anything get stuck in between there. Pass these through. Now this one you can tighten up with an adjustable wrench or a 3/4 ring spanner. You just want to make sure they're in line. That's the truss. Now what I'm going to look for here is, if I've got a building on this side, I don't want the main runoff of the roof, because it's a dome. I don't want the main runoff coming towards the shed, so I'm going to run the roof line that way, away from anything that can affect it with water. So this way I don't really have to worry about it here. So we're just going to basically pick this rotten up. So you can grab that side for me. Just going to put it up on top of the tank first. Go around to your ladder there for me. Okay, so this one's got 6 panels, so basically where these row of bolts is, that's your centre and that's your centre. But obviously I can't put it here because you've got your joiner bracket for your ring beam. So I'm going to just put it off centre on this side and off centre that side, which will basically be the centre. Or if not, you'll be in the middle here and the middle across there. So this will depend on where you've got a building. So as I said, if you've got a building over there that's close to the tank, you don't want the main water runoff running that way. You want it going this way. So if that's the case, I would put the truss this way. If not, I would put it across that way. So we're just going to basically get this one here. You can get your end in first, just go offset to the bracket, you're right. Now, it's going to be a little bit tight, but you should have a bit of movement here where we're going to be able to pull this out and then just slip it back in. So you want to go hard up against your bracket there, yep. And I'm just going to grab my Tet screws. You want to put one in the top here. Same again, one underneath. Blow out any of your swarf again. Okay, so we want to drill this first before we put down a geotextile matting, because if you get any swarf on top of that, it's very hard to get off. So we just want to make sure that everything's pretty right in here, all good. All your taping's done, you've got your strip, you've got your liner strips up, you've cut your hole, you've got your bolts in, so we're good to go. I'm just going to move this liner out of the way. Now it doesn't matter about your stone or anything, this basically protects it. Going with your tape again. About seven pieces through here. Now where your outlet is on the bottom, you want to put a few more there. Then what we're going to do is make sure that's in there. We're just going to fold it over a little bit, just to give it a double layer right down in the bottom. Sometimes you get a little bit of a gap underneath here, so you just want to cover that up. So basically fold it off, put it right in the corner, grab a piece of tape, one next to your strip, just keep working around. Now when we come to our fitting, we don't want this up the wall, so when you put your outlet on, the rubber's going to be on top of this. So you want to be down at the bottom, just clearing enough so you can imagine your rubber's a little bit bigger than the hole. You want it, this wants to be sort of like facing on the ground. Grab your strip sideways and then put that on the sheet going across the bottom. And then that way this can't come up when you go do your fitting. It can't come up and get behind your rubber. Now we're going to do our 150mm overflow installation. This only goes one way as well. You've got your rubber, your fibre washer and your nut. That basically tells me that that goes on the inside. So what we need to do is undo this outside one first. And take both of these off. This one goes on the inside. Now you'll only fit one way to the corrugation. So just keep moving it around until it fits in the corrugation. So that's the right way. Can't fit any other way. That's the wrong way. It won't fit there. So just turn around to basically know that that's where it's sitting. So once you've done that, we'll go to the outside. The same with this one here. It will only fit one way to the corrugation, so you can't really go wrong. Okay, so that'll sit up in there on that one. I'm going to put our nut on the outside. Now this always has to go in before the liner. Just make sure we're sitting in there nicely. I'm just going to grab my spanner. So here we have our timber spanner. Just going to basically tighten that one up. Now just keep an eye on this one here, that it's basically not coming out this way or that way. It's a little bit oversized, but so this one you want to tighten up. Now you can reasonably tighten them. You don't want to overly tighten them because you may crack the nut. It can put a bit of pressure on them. Okay, so that's all tight. Yep, and then once we do that, we're then going to make sure we need to take this one here off. So now with this one, I'm going to hang the liner over here. I'm going to cut the hole in the liner. The liner sits up against that one. Then you'll have your rubber, then you'll have your fibre washer, and then your nut. But I'll show you that process a bit later. So just remove those out from the tank. Now we're going to start installing our liner. Just be careful with your knife that you don't cut through this because your liner's in here. So just be careful, just cut your tape. Now if you like, you can remove this if you want to, but you don't have to. You can leave this in the bottom. We're going to unroll our liner. Now once you unroll it in the back of your liner, before I step in the liner, obviously I've got shoes on. I'm going to take my shoes off. Place them outside. Thank you. These ones here, I'm just going to place in the centre, just give it a little bit more strength there. Indeed. Right, so we need one person on the outside with their yellow tape. I'm going to pass this up to him. But first off, what we want to do is have a look around the liner, and you're going to have an upright seam. So keep looking. So here we have an upright seam where the liners join together. Now with this here, you want to make sure that you're not near the overflow or the outlet. So this is in a good position away from those. So this is where you want it. So I'm going to pass this one up here. I just want to over wrap it yet. A couple of pieces there, not too far down, just up and over. Put another piece, not too far down here, just up and over, yep. Okay, walk back around this way, same again. Go to the row of bolts. We just want to make sure that your foot's right in the corner and we've got enough play there. So once we get it sorted out, we'll come back and we'll clean that up. So back around to this one, please. And now once we've actually got it hung up, what I'm going to do is, you can see how this has got a bit of crossway motion here. That needs to go back that way. So we want to take that out. So I'm just going to grab your liner. You just want to make sure that that's hanging straight. You want to make sure you've got enough play in the liner. So just keep working around, put your foot in the bottom. Just make sure that you've got enough in there. You're going to have a bit of play sometimes, so just put a nice fold. Put a nice fold in there. Make sure we've got enough play. Now that I've got most of my liner hung, I'm just going to go around and clean it up now. So I'm going to start at my truss. I know that it's all sitting pretty straight and square and everything, so I'm going to get my bald head in the picture, get my knife, and where the truss is, I'm just going to put some slots down through here. Just be careful, you don't want to go too far, you just want to go basically up to this level here. So I'm just going to put a couple of little slots just thick enough for the truss. I'm going to stick this one behind so that when I put the line up and over, it's going to sit right up and over the top. And then once I've done that, I can go around and just clean it up a little bit. Now with this one here, I'm going to use a little bit more tape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my knife. I know that's pretty well in position there, and I'm going to go in between here, the ring beam and the tank, and I'm going to actually basically just cut that out. Okay, so you don't want to go too far at the moment. Okay, just make sure that doesn't fall back in. Grab your tape, just want a little bit over the top just to hold it there. Now this one here, you'll need a few more pieces. So just like that, and that way it can't fall in. If it looks like it's going to, I'm just going to put a little bit of extra tape there just so it doesn't. Now just keep the liner inside the outside of the panel here, okay? Now where your overflow is, on the inside you just want to make sure it's nice and flat, that you haven't got any folds like this going across over this way on the inside. You want to just make sure that it's a nice flat surface. So when you go to put the rubber on, you don't have to deal with any creases or anything like that. So just be mindful of that, everything looks good. Okay, now that I've done my overflow, I'm hung my liner. I'm going to do the overflow and I'm going to do the bottom fitting. So now we're going to cut our hole for our overflow. So like I said, you just want to make sure that it's nice and flat around there. And what you want to do is you want to use a long knife of some sort. You don't want a little blade, because if you come out you can stab the liner somewhere where you don't want to. So really a longish knife. You want to feel for the inside of the pipe. So what we're going to do, we're just going to stick our knife in there, and we're going to cut all the way around the inside of the pipe first. Just take care with this. Same again, have your knife all the way in, and that way you've got no way of coming out and stabbing the liner anywhere. So that's your hole cut. Now because we've cut on the inside, if we put this over, it's actually going to stretch it a little bit. So what we need to do is we need to cut out another 3 millimeters of it. So this is pretty careful that you don't cut too far in. Same again, you just want to follow that circle around, but just a little bit bigger. Just take care with this bit. You don't want to cut it too big. So now when that goes over there, you're not going to get any stretch in the material. Just want to make sure that's nice and flat and sitting on there correctly. Now just for instance, if you've cut this too big, what can happen is the thread in here can get stuck on the liner, and what it'll want to do, it'll want to twist the liner. So you want to make sure that none of that is on the thread. So same again, we're going to use our rubber washer first, then we're going to use our fibre washer, and then your nut. So we're going to put that on there. socket. Now you want to make sure that's reasonably tight. Be careful not to go too tight because it can spin it off the nut there. So that all looks good there. You can see how it's nice and flat. Now we're going to install our 50mm outlet at the bottom. Once we've got that all tight, we're going to put in our elbow. So that's not your level of the overflow. A lot of customers say, oh, is that how low it sits? No, that's their height here. So that's going to go on here like this, but what we need to do, we need to silicone this on. So I'm going to have my silicone gun here. I'm just going to silicone in all in along here. You don't need a lot of silicone, but a good amount's good. And what we're going to do, we're going to put that on there, slide it on nicely. Just make sure that's nice and square. If anything, what you do is you put your level on there to make sure you're level. Pretty happy with that, aren't I?
Yep.
Yep. And then on the inside here, I can see all the silicone. So now what I'm going to do, if you wet your finger with water, or spit's a really good one, just go on the inside and just clean all that silicone up there. Put a bead over the joint itself. It just helps seal it off. And then you're done. Right, now we're going to put in our outlet at the bottom. So you need to undo it. These are a left-hand thread. So you'll notice with the rubbers how you've got one that goes in and one goes out. Now usually you've got to spin these ones over. So this one goes on the fitting there like that. So when it goes into the wall, that fits in the corrugation. And this one fits over the corrugation on the outside. If it's the other way around, it won't fit in. So I'll pass these over. And before I'm ready to cut that hole, I've just got to go and make sure that, you know, all my liners in position. Make sure I'm right down at the bottom. Make sure I've got enough play. Just make sure that you're all good there first. So I'm pretty happy with that. Don't have to worry about these creases. When the water fills up, that'll just press against there and fill all that up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find my hole here. So I'll ask somebody outside, you put your finger through the hole. Okay, so here's where my hole is. So you can see down the bottom though, you come down here, I've got the circumference seam. Now my hole's just going to be, if I press here like this, you can see the outer of the hole here. Right now, but the thing is, I'm going to cut through this. You don't want to do that. So one of two things, you're either going to drop the seam below or above. So this way here, I've got enough play in the wall. So I'm just going to bring my liner back this way and then push down in these two sections here. I'm just going to make sure that seam is underneath the outlet, so I can fill my hole here again, and my seam is underneath the outlet. So same again, you want to use a long knife. Place your toes right in the corner there, so it's not going to move. I can see my hole there again. You can feel the edge of the panel. Just make sure you've got no creases anywhere near here. Grab my knife again, just find your edge. Watch your fingers. I'm going to poke it all the way through.
So when I cut it, I'm going to use this part of the knife. I'm not going to use a little knife, because if I'm going like this, it will come out and you'll put a hole somewhere in the line that you don't want. So place your knife all the way through and just slowly cut around, and you'll feel the steel until you go all the way around. Okay, I'll pass my knife out so it's not in the way. I'll grab my fitting, so same again. This one here will fit in here. If I had the other rubber, it fits over this part of the corrugation, so it won't work. So now I'm going to place that on. I'm going to place that through. Make sure you're actually sitting in there nicely, and he's going to put the other side on. Now he just needs to hand tighten that one on the outside. Okay. Okay. Now with this bit here, I'm just going to press back up in here. I'm going to grab this little bit of liner here where the bottom of the seam is here. I'm just going to grab that. I just want to make sure I've got a little bit of play under this fitting, so if you get any settling in the tank or anything like that, you're not going to have an issue with it. So again, I'm just going to find this one here. And I'm just going to get that up underneath there a little bit. And then put that back to the wall. And that way I've got a little bit of play, so if I have anything settling under there, I've got that little bit of movement. The same again, make sure your line is back in position. And you're all good to go. Now that we've got our 2-inch outlet in, we're going to put our ball valve on. So what we're going to do here, obviously we need thread tape. Now with your thread tape, you're going to be screwing it on this way, so your thread tape has to go opposite. If you put your thread tape that way, as you tighten it up, it's all going to come off. So rule of thumb is whatever way you screw it on, your tape has to go opposite. So we're going to start on here. You want a reasonable amount on there. I'll usually put a little bit more towards the back, so as you're tightening it up. And you always want to finish off at the front. You don't want to finish off at the back here, you want to finish off at the front. Just going to place this one in. Okay, we're just going to finger tighten or hand tighten this one first a little bit. Okay, we're going to grab our big adjustable wrench. And you want to tighten that so it's pretty tight there that rubber starts squashing out. Once we've done that, we can then tighten this one up a little bit more. Now this is a tapered thread. So now we just need to line this one up a bit to fit this one. Just going to keep turning that around. Now, because of that there, I should be able to get one more around just to make sure that it's going to be nice and tight for me. And then you just want to end up with the hammer up the handle up the top. Once you've done that, just close it off, and that's all done. Now that we've done that, we can start putting water in it and fill it. Now we have all that in position and everything, we're ready to put our roof on. So before we put our roof, we need to put our dust and vermin, which seals up in the corrugation. So what we need to do here is peel it off. You want to place it more towards the edge here. You just take care with it. Just go around and stick it around towards the edge. Now say about every metre you want to rip this paper, otherwise if you don't, this will actually want to curl in like this. So just make sure you go around. Now you want to leave your paper on, don't peel it off yet. Okay, now we've got our dust and vermin and everything on, we're going to be ready to install our roof. So here we have 2 sheets at 4 feet 11 inches, so we're going to put one in each corner. So I'm going to grab this one. Just grab one. Now when you place these on the ground, make sure you place them in the same way, okay? So see how this goes up? If I'm going to face it that way, all the sheets have to face that way. Now we have 5 sheets at 3 feet 3 inches.
6'3".
6'3", yeah. So I'm going to lay three out here. To the other side. Now we have 3 sheets at 7 foot 3 inches, so we're going to lay them all on this side. Right, now that we've got all those laid out, that side of the roof is going to go under, and this side of the roof is going to go over like this. So you always want to put this under sheet in first. Okay, we're going to start putting our roof up now. So we're going to start with our centre long truss, long sheet, sorry. So we're going to use this one here. So Caleb, you can pass that up to me, please. Be careful that this doesn't fall inside. No, I need this edge here first. Now the centre of the pitch is your centre of your sheet. So I'm going to count 6 from the flute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's going to be roughly your centre. So I'm just going to line that up roughly to where it is. And then I'm going to go the other side. Now you only want to be about 4 inches overhang here on this side here, okay? Now the other thing I've also got to look at is that I'm square, the sheet's square to the roof. So I'm just going to have a look. I need to come over this way a little bit. Okay, now that I'm looking square, this sheet here, you want to be just past the truss there a little bit. So don't make it go inside, you want it to be just past. And what we do where this sheet is, just peel your paper off. Just underneath the sheet. Now I'm going to put one tech screw here afterwards, so I want to come back 2 from here, 1, 2, so it's going to be 3 from the end. Just going to have a look underneath, make sure that I screw into the top ring. Screw this one down. And I need to hop on top here a little bit. Now just be a little bit careful. Just make sure that that's sitting on there like that. Now I want to line this one up a little bit, so make sure that it's square. So what I'm going to do again here, I've got this one, so tech screw is going to go here, but I'm going to come 3 back. I'm just going to place the tech screw in that one. Now don't drill too hard on this one, otherwise it'll just completely spin. Right, just enough in there. Come back 2 again. Want just enough just to hold it. Same again on this side, peel your paper off, just past the sheet. Same again, I'm just going to come back 2 from this one. Just make sure your liner and your dust vermin is in there in position. Then I'm going to come back 2 from this one, so 3 again, including that one, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2. Same again, 1, 2, 3, including that one, or 1, 2. This one here, that's the overlap going that way, so the next sheet's going to come underneath here and these sheets are going to go over the top. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a mark there so I know where to screw it next time. Go to the other side. Same again, I'm going to screw this one, I'll screw it on 3. Including that one, 1, 2, 3, or not including that one, 1, 2. So I'm going to drill that one down. Same process again. Now I've got those screwed. Obviously I'm a light person, so you've got to be a little bit careful here. I'm just going to put a couple of tech screws in the centre. So I'm just going to come back 1, 2, 3. with this one, I'm just going to mark. Okay, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to miss two and do one. I'm going to miss one and do one. Now I can stay up here and someone can pass them up to me. So pass up your next short sheet. Stay there, Caleb. Now you've got to be a little bit careful when you put the sheets up that you don't rip off your dust and vermin. So as I said before, this one's going to go underneath this sheet. So what we're going to do, we're going to slip it in between this one and that one. So it's going to slide up underneath there. Oh, no, sorry, it's going to go right underneath. Okay, slide that one in, but lift that edge up. Right up here, dust and vermin. Okay, is that in the right spot? Yep, okay, pass up the other one, please. No, this one. Now this one will go underneath this one here. Okay, you go the other side for me now, please. Bigger side. Okay, this one's going to go under, but just be careful of your dust and vermin for me. Okay, so when you put this one under, you've got to lift this side so it doesn't rip the dust and vermin. So now this one is going to go in between these two. Okay, so just lift up that end so it doesn't rip the dust and vermin. Up here, go a little bit, that's it, yep. Okay, just line these up. Okay, other side. Can you start peeling your paper off there for me, underneath the panels? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start on this one here. Just make sure that it's sitting there nicely. So every second one. Again on this side. Now I've marked my hole here, so I'm just going to put one in there. Same again. You got the ladder there. me some more tip screws, please. And yeah, you can pass up this other side first. Okay, just grab your ladder and come onto this one here for me, please. Just lift up that edge for me so it doesn't get go underneath. Okay, I'll hold it a bit more. You want to go out a bit further? Okay, there you go. Under, under, a bit more. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, peel your dust and vermin off of there, please. one, other side. Other side. Yep, this one, this one. Come towards me, lift it up, lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. Okay. So I'm just lining all this row in so it looks really good. Here, Matt. So you can see, like, this is where we need to drill here. So what we need to do is, it's pretty hard to see on top sometimes, but you just line up your truss in line there like that and sit it down roughly. And once I've got those two in, I'll do the other side as well. I'll hop down to that. Is there a ladder here? Right, we can see how our dust and vermin's come out. So you want to just make sure that's in position, sitting in there properly. Now for the inexperienced, to try and find out where you've got to put this tech screw, you can find it a little bit difficult and you may miss. So one good way of doing it is you get your tape measure. You basically, we're going to drill on this one here, right? So I'm going to follow that line all the way to the tank. So I'm going to go underneath, right in the middle there, and I'm going to come towards the end. And I've got my measurement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock that off there. And then I'm going to transfer this on top, like so. And so when that measurement's on top, I know that that's at the edge of the panel. So this corner here is going to be the edge of the panel, not this corner, because of the way the tank's going. So what I'm going to do now is, you've got to imagine underneath the roofing iron you've got the ring beam, which is only 25mm. So I'm just going to come back about that far, and then I'm going to screw. And I know I'm going to get my ring beam all the time. Sometimes when you come along, when it's really curved like that, you've got to come in a little bit further. So now I'll go to this one where I've got to drill. I'll do the same measurement underneath. Measure from that corner. I've got my measurement up there. I'm going to lock it off. I'm going to transfer that one on top. Now the same again, when I measure, it comes off of this corner, not that corner, so you got to imagine that one. So the same again, I'm just going to come back about that far, half an inch, and screw it down. Now that we've got our roof screwed down, we've got to remember that we're going to put a roof facer on these ones. So what we've got to do is cut the roof inside here. So this is where the roof finishes, and it allows the leaves and everything to come off as well. If we cut it right up to here, when we put our facer on, the leaves can't come off. So we're just going to basically have a look in here. We're going to go, basically that's going to sit underneath. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make sure that this is going to be the right measurement inside here, okay? So generally a 5-inch grinder, just straight like that is basically what you're after. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start marking this out from underneath. Now you only need a small mark so that you know where to cut. I'm not going to cut through the double overlap where the sheets overlap. I'm going to miss that one, and I'm going to go around and do every second one. Now with this one here, really needs safety glasses. Should really have some gloves. Just be wary of your blade, but it's just going to basically mark it a little bit. Also, obviously if you've got grass around and stuff like that, you want to be careful because of sparks. If you've got any buildings around you, or especially a car with windows, it will put pit marks in your windows, so just make sure that's all away. I use a masonry blade. That way there I don't ever have to buy a cutting disc because they wear out. This one here has lasted me for years, and I'm only putting a little nick just so when I get on top of the nibblers it allows me to follow my mark and I'll get a nice clean cut. So we're just going to basically start on this way. Okay, so I've marked it from underneath, and you can see on top how I've got my little marks here. And what I'll do now is I'll just go around with my nibblers and I'll just follow these marks. That way I'll get a nice clean cut. So the person underneath, just make sure they've got safety glasses. They're going to just collect all the swarf, otherwise you need your magnet to go around and pick up all the swarf. So I'm just going to start from here. Okay, so now we're going to put our roof fascia brackets on once we've cut our roof. So we need to measure the distance. So from the centre we're going to measure about 16.5 inches from here. So measure 16.5 inches. Put a little mark up the top there, otherwise you'll see that. And go the other side. It's going to measure 16.5 inches. Put another mark there. And just continue to do that on every panel. So you're going to have one of these sitting here, and you're going to have one sitting here, okay? So what we need to do is grab our tech gun, and we need to just loosen off a few of these tech strips here. You don't want to go too far. And we want to grab your bracket, and where you've got your mark here, it needs to go underneath the liner and just sit in between the bracket. Okay, so that's how it sits there like that. Your liner's all in position still. And once we've done that, we can then screw it back down. And then we'll continue on going around. So I'll go to the next one. Now that I've got all my roof fascia brackets on, I need to put on my bolt covers. So it's just a matter of getting them over there on the bottom. Push all the way down. Now once I have my bolt fascias on, I'm ready to put the roof fascia on. So you've got to put these on first before you can put that on. So we're going to go around and install the roof fascia. Now we're going to install a roof fascia now. So obviously we've got to take into account of the access hatch and the leaf basket and the ladder bracket. So depending on where you want the inlet to come in for your downpipe and also your access hatch. Now you want to put these two close together because you've got a ladder that basically goes on here. So we're going to put it here in this one. So you don't want a ladder over that side to clean your basket. You want your basket next to your ladder. So we're going to place this one up in here in a minute. So I'm going to start here on this one and then work my way around. So we said this is where the access is going to go. So I'm going to start on this side.
Hold it there for me. Right, so I'm just going to come back this way about 20 mil, and this edge here is going to sit at the bottom here. So we're just going to line that up there like that. And just be careful with that you don't screw your fingers here. Now I don't want to screw this hard, otherwise you're going to put a dent in the fascia, so you just want to tighten it up just fraction. Then I'll go to my next one. Same again in about the middle of that bracket. Now you want about 50 mil overlap. And this one's going to end up on the join, so I've got to screw the two of them. You just want to try and keep that flat flush as much as you can. I'll come back and I'll do these two later. Okay, so with this last one, as I said, we're going to put the access hatch in here, in between here. So I just need to mark this one, and I need to cut it. So I'll turn that one around, so I'll cut that off. So same again, I only want to be about 20 mil, 1 inch past here. So I'm just going to mark this one. Grab the tin snips. Now because this is a cut edge like this, I'm going to put it behind this one so you don't see it. Right there, are you? Yeah. Base rod, we're going to install our access hatch. Now this one basically has a lip at the front, so it's going to slide backwards like this. So you want to set it towards the front, close it right up. And you want to basically have it just over these couple of tech screws here, or 3 tech screws that we will have. This edge here you don't want it protruding outside the tank, so you just want to make sure that that's going to sit inside there like that. Then we're going to just mark in these corners here, or on this corner, just to let you know where it's going to sit. So just a couple of little marks. We're going to take this right off. And now that we're still on our marks, we're going to mark the inside of the access hatch. Now you're just going to be mindful that you do have a truss in here, so obviously we won't be able to put it here because we're going to cut through the truss. So you want to make sure that you're away from the truss, and this will depend on where your leaf basket's going to sit. So if the leaf basket's going to be over there, your access hatch will be over there, then you'll have the gap over there instead of here, but this is where we're going to put it. So now that we've got that done, we're just going to grab a punch and a hammer. We're just going to put a punch mark, just so we can get our tin snips in there to cut it. Now what we're going to do, we're just going to undo this one here. We're going to put our bracket in. So we need to get underneath here. Now if you're a bit worried about this falling down again, what you can do is just get a bit of tape and retape it. Shouldn't have to. What we're going to do is you want it in the center here, so I'm just going to peel this one back off for the moment. We can put that in a bit later. So just wide enough for the bracket. Don't want to go too wide. And we're going to grab our bracket, and this is going to sit over the liner. Just be careful that it doesn't go inside. It's going to sit down in there like that. Just be mindful that your liner hasn't fallen in. We're going to place that in the center. And we're just going to replace our dust and vermin on top of here. Pull your paper off. Now we can leave it like that for now. We want to cut this out first. So you want to cut pretty well on that line or just past it. Make sure that nothing falls down into the liner, otherwise you could pierce the liner and put a hole in it. Just be careful with your fingers, you don't cut yourself. Now always cut inside and then I'll do my final cut afterwards. It's a bit easier than trying to cut on in line like this.
Just be careful, you're cutting a hole here, you don't want to fall in. Now I've got most of the hole cut out, I'm just going to go around and clean it up now. A little bit easier where this is if you put slots in it. Just make it a little bit easier for you.
because I've got 4 sheets here that I've got to cut through. Time that you're on your roof, just be careful. Obviously, you know, you can fall and hurt yourself. A little bit hard to cut this from a ladder on the ground. Okay, now we've got this cut out, we can then put in our ladder bracket. Easiest way to do that, just lift this up here. We want to just peel this bit off here where the ladder bracket's going to go for now. We can fill that off. I'm going to sit our ladder bracket in. You're going to be more or less in the centre of your hatch. We're going to put this one back on. Again, just make sure your liner hasn't fallen in there or anything. Just going to put this one back on the top here. Okay. Need a little Phillips head bit. So what we need to do is in your access hatch, you just want to undo this one here. Undo that one first. Now, just one thing to note. Remember how I showed you in the beginning how this slides off? So obviously this is a little hole here for a lock, and this is going to be pointing towards the front. So you want to make sure that this is pointing towards the front. It could be this side or that side, but it will be on the front. And this one here, you're going to fold up. So what you're going to do is it's got to fit inside there like that. Okay, so on this corner, it'll fit in there like that. Just going to fold this up a little bit. Be careful that it doesn't fall in. It's pretty flexible. Careful that this doesn't fall in. Once we've done that, we'll slide our hatch back on. This will just keep it all square, so when we go to do the final screw, place these two back in here. And these basically will hold your ladder bracket as well. Now you don't need one in every one. I do one in the overlap there. Right, now that we've done the access hatch, we're going to go for our leaf basket. Now this has got to go down on the ground, so that's how it's going to sit there like that. So this is your template, so it'll either go close to this side or that side, or depends on what side they want it. Preferably try and keep it sort of like square with this side and this side. You don't want it too close to the inside of the tank, otherwise the water's going to hit the side of the wall. But same again, we're just going to go in there, we're going to mark it on the inside. Same again, just cut on the inside line for now. As you can see what I've got to do to cut it. Be careful of your fingers and your hands that you don't cut yourself. Preferably wear some gloves if you want to. Now that I've got that, I'm going to go around and follow my line. Don't overly have to be clean with this because you're going to have the cover for it anyway.
got writing on the back of it, so preferably if you put that one away. Get that one on there first, get the basket in. Now on the bottom here you've got these screws. So you only really need 4 of them. Just be careful that they don't fall in, because they can fall in through here. Here's what we'll do, is just place them in your leaf basket so they can't go anywhere. Then we're going to grab our tack gun again. What we want to do is just line that up there where we had it in line before. We just want to screw down in these corners here for now. I'm just going to do my first one. In place, I'll take this one back out. Sometimes when you do these, they sink down a little bit, so I'm going to hold the pressure there so when I screw it, it's not going to distort on me. So I'm just going to hold underneath here. This one here. Now that we've got the framing installed, we're then going to put in our light guard, which this one's called. We need to just change our bit over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one in the middle of these screws here. First off, I'm going to start on this one. I'm just going to go in the middle of these two. And then the leaf basket. So I've got one more thing to do on the roof. Just pass all these down. Got to go near the access hatch purely for confined space reasons. So we just want to peel this off. I've shown this in a video before. Get it in half. Get it in half. Go on the corners, stretch it out a little bit, and you want to go basically just in the middle there. Start from the inside and then just work your way down a little bit, and then also work your way up. With the bottom, you go like this first, it just prevents any of your creases. Okay, that's your Aquamate sticker. We've got this piece of pinch weld. We're going to use it on two things. First off, we're going to put it up over here. Up over this
through here. Now this is just a protection, so when you get up into your access hatch and have a look at something, you're not going to cut yourself. We have our little padlock. And that one's there, so we're going to do the overflow now. Now there's two little slots up in here. Obviously this is where it slots into. And now we're going to install our overflow. Now just be a bit wary that you know where your bottom outlet is and your overflow is. Obviously if that's in here, you're not going to be able to put it in. So first off, we're going to put this one up on the top, just roughly to where you've got to go for now. We're going to grab our other elbow. You've got black writing here on the pipe, so usually what I do that is I'll put that on the back of the tank, so I'll face the pipe back this way. Just make sure here that you're all the way down to the base there, to the bottom. Now usually what I would do, I'd always bury this pipe, depending on the customer and depending if there's a mound here, you can't, you just got to sit it on the ground. But usually I would cover the pipe, I would cover this pipe, so I would dig it down out this far and cover and bury this pipe. But because this ground's very hard, I'm not going to do that at this stage. So, just going to get our marker. We're going to rest this up here, and this is going to give us the level to where we need to cut our pipe to. So I'm just going to mark it here. Now that we've done that, we're going to put this one in. Same again, just make sure you're all the way down to the bottom. Now with the flap, this is going to sit at the bottom like this, so we want this one at the bottom and we want it square, so I'm just going to sit that on there first. no real need to glue this, so what we're going to do, we're just going to tack it, so just so it can't blow off in the wind or anything like that. We're just going to put one up in here. Put another one on this side. You can put it out the front if you wanted, but I prefer the side. No real need to do the bottom, but if that's the case, I'm just going to